Okay, in this video we got a little organizational video, or an addition to one. One of my first organizational videos, militia unit organization videos I did was your company headquarters platoon, covering the different areas that should be represented in it. One of them I mentioned was S2 or Intel. And I was thinking about that at work, and I remembered this. Something that started appearing late in the war on terrorism. It was called a COIST section, Company Intelligence Support Team section. This is essentially a company level S2 section. They were the liaison between the unit and higher level, whether it was their battalion or battalion task force. They were the ones that took the raw intel collected by the troops in the field, put it into the reports, entered it into the computer systems, and made sure that it got disseminated from there. It went up to the battalion S2 or battalion task force S2 and made it through the network. Now, when I was made aware of it, it was really early in the concept of this. There was nothing written in stone yet. There was no set organization. Now, the unit I was in, the general thing they came up with was one NCOIC, non-commissioned officer in charge, a sergeant, who was located at the company TOC, or Tactical Operations Center. He was the one who did the liaison between the platoons and the higher level. He would get the intel from higher level and disseminate it to the platoons for each mission, inform the company commander of any changes in the intel situation and that stuff. Now, at the platoon level, you had 1 to 2 troops who were assigned an additional assignment as basically the collectors of the info for the COIST. Their primary job assignment was still their primary job in a platoon. So if they were infantry, they're still infantry. If they're engineer, they're still engineer. But once the ambush is done, once the operation is done, once the IED has been encountered and has been taken care of, then this troop or troops would write up the report, get the information gathered up, and then would submit that to the NCOIC once they got back from the mission. Now, some general stuff in here that I could remember. The troops should have 1 camera each with spare batteries and spare memory cards, and that camera should be video capable. It should be able to take pictures and also video. They need to record info that is valuable to operations. Examples would be new weapon systems encountered, new styles of IEDs, new tactics and that stuff. When IEDs were encountered, they would get pictures of it before it's destroyed, or before it was rendered safe and then secured by EOD. They would get as much info as they could. How was it in the ground? How was it located? You know, what means was used to locate it before it would blow up. They would take pictures of enemy personnel. So if we took out enemy during an ambush, they would take picture of the enemy. If there was any type of ID card, if they were wearing any type of insignia, they made sure that that was in the picture also, so that could be used for identifying who that person was. Now, in a non-insurgency situation, you're fighting a conventional military, they're getting pictures of new vehicles with new features and stuff on them. And when they do that, they would get a picture of the markings, get a picture of the weapon systems. So if there's a new weapon being encountered on a vehicle, get a picture of it and get a picture of how it's mounted on there. Get an idea of how much ammo was carried for that weapon system and so forth. If there's a new feature on the vehicle, get as much detail on it as you can. Did they come up with a new type of mine plow, a new type of RPG caging, a new type of, counter IED transmitter, a jammer? Get what info that you can before destroying the enemy equipment. If you can capture newer style weapons, say a new weapon has appeared in a battlefield that you haven't seen before, if you can get it back to the COIST NCOIC, you do that, and that COIST NCOIC then turns it into the next level S2 section so that it can go through the network for evaluation. Some general ideas here. For the NCOIC, it's preferable that they have a background in investigations and or military intelligence. This person should be knowledgeable of enemy tactics, operations, the enemy's weapon systems, and should be very familiar with the area situation. Now, for a militia setting, whoever is designated as the person that's in charge of your intelligence section, they should be studying intelligence manuals and books right now. They need to become subject matter experts. Not just on intelligence, they need to read how the enemy does operations, how they did it in the past, because they'll use that as the basis for future operations. And they need to understand the enemy's weapons. What are its capabilities? What are its weaknesses? You want to exploit those weaknesses, and as much as possible avoid those strengths. It goes without saying, but there's unfortunately stupid people out there that don't realize that. The old saying that, as soon as you make something idiot-proof, God makes a better idiot. There's always people that, missing common sense. Now, the intel collectors at the platoons, they should be inquisitive. They should be able to notice changes in patterns and things that are out of the ordinary. They should also, as best as possible, learn the enemy's equipment, learn the enemy's tactics, learn their courses of action so that they can include that inside the report. They can put in there that, hey, the enemy changed their tactics up a bit. Normally they do this, this time they did this. If we see that happen, a couple times, 2-3 times, well then that shows that's probably a change in doctrine, not just a change that was done by that unit. So there should be manuals out there by now that cover this. I don't know necessarily if they are classified for public distribution, but there should be manuals out there. Have a look. You might be able to come across them. I do remember that the COIST section for our unit handled 2 pieces of equipment. They had a computer, which was called a BAT, a B-A-T. This was the computer that information was put into. That computer was hooked up to an intel network, so battalion would get that information as soon as it was posted, brigade, division. That network was even linked in with the U.S. military's intel agencies. So someone in Langley, Virginia could access the reports that were submitted by that company in the middle of the desert in Iraq or up in the mountains in Afghanistan. Because it's all connected, it's on a secure network, a secure web. The other piece of equipment that they used that you would see the troops at platoon level, the little intel collectors carrying around, was called a HIDE. H-I-I-D-E. This was a camera / laptop in one type thing. It's used to catalog people, basically. It takes their pictures, you can do their fingerprints on it. You can then go through and create a personnel file or a data file on that person, put in there all the basic information, hair color, age, date of birth, are they married, are they single, what's the names of their kids, what's the names of their wives, where do they live at, where do they come from. All that stuff is in there and could be typed in on that camera. It was fairly good sized, along the sides of an old style Polaroid camera. I remember being told that the person operating that camera the camera is preloaded with a database of a certain number of high value people that could potentially be in the area, and that package was created by like battalion or brigade intel, their S2 sections, and then they loaded those be on the lookout people inside there. If you came across someone that was suspicious, I think you could put it in like a search mode. You could get the person, take their picture, and you could do their fingerprints. It would then go through the database inside that camera, and it would tell you if the person's in there and if that person is in the BOLO list or not. And they're supposed to be able to actually go in and look at some of those photographs. Not all of them. I don't remember how many hundreds could be loaded on this camera, but I think they said they could look at a few dozen of them. Ones that were really high priority targets that everyone needed to be able to know what they looked like. They could pull the picture up and the basic info up like on a laptop and show the people in the patrol, show the people in the platoon, hey, this is what this person looks like, we need to watch out for them. So the hides are password protected. I do not remember what the password is. I remember it's supposed to be something really simple, and all of these cameras use the exact same password, or at least they did when they were being used by the unit. So I don't know what the password is, but it was supposed to be something pretty simple. So that's what I can remember on this stuff. This gives you at least a place to start for setting up the intel section for your companies, for your militia units. So come up with your own little database format and that stuff. I suggest that you have a laptop assigned to that NCOIC of your company S2 section, and make sure it has a lot of memory in it, so that you can, when you get those intel reports in, you get those after action reports, you get them entered in there so that they can be quickly databased, they can be queried and all that stuff, meaning you can go back and look for certain criteria and find it on the computer easily, so that you build up your own little intelligence network. So now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essayons.